Next game on the list, we have Cincinnati +9 according to Bovada at the Cleveland Browns. Interesting game here because the Cincinnati Bengals have gone back to Andy Dalton. They never really should have gone away from him, at least as early in the season as they did. This changes the complexion of the Cincinnati Bengals offense. Frankly, if Dalton had started, I think they had a game against the Raiders. They had a game against maybe Pittsburgh earlier in the season. If Dalton started, I think Cincinnati could possibly be a 3-win team at this point, but he didn't, and I guess there's no really point in talking about it because they're kind of a bad team. Now Cleveland, on the other hand, I have been saying for a while that I think they're going to go on a run. They had a tough loss against Pittsburgh. Frankly, I think if that whole helmet swing from Myles Garrett a few weeks ago didn't give Pittsburgh a little bit of extra juice, I think that was a game that Cleveland would have stolen. But Pittsburgh was not going to lose that game at home. It just was not going to happen. So good for Pittsburgh. They are now in the pole position for the playoff hunt. Cleveland, I still think, goes on a run to end the season, so I like what they're doing. Now, in terms of picks, I think that +9 is way too many points in this game with Andy Dalton playing. I'm taking Cincy. My robots agree. They take Cincy by a very thin margin. Brad is taking Cleveland. So once again, we disagree. In terms of fantasy, let me just say Cincinnati's scoring 14.9 points per game, 31st in the league. Ouch. Cleveland, on the other hand, is scoring 20.5 points per game, 21st in the league. That's not what we envisioned coming into it. Neither of these teams is going to have firepower. So again, if you look at it, a +9, is Cleveland really going to blow the doors off of a Cincinnati team that's now starting Andy Dalton? I just don't see that happening. But let's get to fantasy here. Andy Dalton, do I have him as a start? No, I would not rest my fantasy football playoff future on Cleveland there. I had a little bit of a glitch there. It was a deja vu in the Matrix. But Andy Dalton, no, but I would start him in some daily fantasy for sure. I don't like the running backs. Joe Mixon is not consistently scoring, although he is playing better as of late. Now the wide receivers do better. Tyler Boyd, if AJ Green plays, but again, I don't think he's going to play. John Ross could be back, so pay attention to him. Auden Tate, I think, is very good. All three of those guys, if you're super desperate, I think you can play. And daily fantasy, I would rotate in some John Ross and some Andy Dalton stacks in your daily fantasy, or Tyler Boyd and Andy Dalton. He's going to take shots and he's going to get them. I don't like tight end for Cincinnati. Now Cleveland, Baker Mayfield, I have as projected as a sit. I do think he's one of my fringe kind of waiver pickup and plays. I have him ranked as number 5 on my waiver pickups this week. I do think he'll do better than projection. Nick Chubb, I think, has a really nice game. You got to watch Kareem Hunt, though. Kareem Hunt keeps stealing carries. I just don't love a situation where Nick Chubb isn't getting a ton of carries a game, but Kareem Hunt's very good. So at least the depth, and it's not a situation where like in the LA where they're going from Todd Gurley to Malcolm Brown and driving everybody crazy. At least Kareem Hunt's pretty good. Let's see, wide receiver. I think that everybody is projected as a fringe start or sit, but I think Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry are worth the uptick there. Keep an eye out for David Njoku, who could be activated off of waivers. Again, if you're hurting at tight end, that can be somebody that could give you a light at the end of the tunnel as we conclude this season.